Well, it's already 5 minutes after the set starting time, so perhaps I would suggest we give it a start in order to we aim finishing also accordingly to the time schedule. Therefore, good afternoon and welcome everybody to this online brief event organized by two projects together this time, the GovTech Connect project together with the GovTech4all project. Today called Policymakers Leading the Way, the best practices, the good examples to build a successful GovTech ecosystems with startups. My name is David Brunelleschi and I'm part of Intellera Consulting, the company which is in charge of coordinating the GovTech Connect initiative. But before perhaps we delve into the program for this afternoon together, let me just remind you about, provide you a couple of general indications. I think you have all automatically been muted, so if you would like to intervene, ask any questions, just feel free to raise your virtual hand and I'll be sure that my technical colleagues will be unmuting you. Otherwise, feel free to simply use the chat function, as I see some colleagues are already doing, to pose any questions or write any comments you may have as we go through this online session. And just for everybody to be aware, we are recording this session for further dissemination purposes of our both projects today. Having said this, and moving into today's agenda and today's objective, why are we here today? Well, basically, the reason is quite simple and straightforward. We are here to continue expanding and building our GovTech Connect community in Europe, but also beyond. I just see somebody commenting directly from Washington, D.C., so welcome even from colleagues from overseas over the ocean. And the idea is to keep on developing and growing our GovTech Connect community together, in particular today, also with a focus on the GovTech4all initiative. And just to give you a glimpse, a preview of the agenda for this hour, slightly more altogether, we're gonna start with a little presentation about this GovTech4all project that last time, for those of you who connected to our previous webinar some months ago, wasn't presented at that time. So today we have the pleasure of having Bessiana Balla from Lisbon Council talking to us about the GovTech4all project. We will then have a panel discussion with 4 representatives from around and across Europe, focusing on how different initiatives are supporting GovTech come to life, basically. And we will conclude with some indications on an online community and what will be happening next in the upcoming months and the upcoming year. But before we give it a start, as a first step, I have the pleasure of welcoming and thanking for being here with us this afternoon, Stefanos Kotoglu. He is Program and Project Officer at European Commission's DG Digit, working within the Interoperability and Digital Government Unit. Stefanos, for a brief introduction and overview, pleased to leave it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I would like to welcome everyone, and I'm pretty glad to see that all the actors of GovTech, they're around here in this meeting, as well as people overseas, as mentioned by David from DC. If you can just go to the first slide, that I will try to be quite brief, because I just want to create, the link just to show what actually the Commission, the European Union, is doing towards this demand, this increasing demand on GovTech technologies. So GovTech, I'm actually stealing and taking the opportunity to take some information from GovTech Connect project of one of the deliverables that will be soon there, of the insight, the foresight study. So I'm just taking some numbers out of this, saying that the GovTech market actually exceeds 90 billion euro. And of course, these numbers, they are calculated like estimates based on contracts and budgets. And this market actually it's all around Europe, with a lion's share taken by Central Europe, with France and Italy, with Spain also following, and Germany being there in the top leads. So GovTech, of course, we know it's the collaboration and kind of co-development of innovative technologies like AI, 5G, cloud, blockchain, just to name, between SMEs, private sector, and public administration. So what we have done towards this, I mean, the European Commission, just to answer to this call, to further facilitate this collaboration and to foster actual innovation, based on the Interoperability Act, with some articles on sandboxes and focusing on innovative measures, we are trying to create a meaningful ecosystem. If you may go to the next slide, the ecosystem that we have already created actually comprises this four ingredients. We have the GovTech Connect that, of course, it's the project of the day that will be presented later on, as well as GovTech4all incubator. But just to briefly mention, GovTech Connect is one part of the big puzzle. So GovTech Connect provides this community, this, let's say, workspace where citizens, where public administrations, SMEs, innovative GovTech companies, they come together to discuss these opportunities, discuss different issues, and solve problems. While on the other hand, we have this complementary income from GovTech4all, the incubator, as we say, where actually also answering to the legal aspect of Interoperability Europe Act, we try to experiment, to have pilots on applying, on developing, on co-developing and implementing, for sure at the beginning as pilots, innovative solutions using innovative technologies. And for the moment, we are in the first phase of this 4 years project, GovTech4all incubator. And in 1 year, we will have another call where we strongly believe that we can further enhance the participation, or better to say, the further exploration of innovative solutions based on AI technologies or technologies like blockchain. So this is to come, but just also to further cover this puzzle of the ecosystem that we are trying to build upon, we also have created the public sector tech watch. So sorry to go a bit, I'm going outside of the main concept of this meeting, which is about GovTech Connect, GovTech4all incubator. But it's worth mentioning that last month we also published the public sector tech watch, which is one other part of the puzzle where actually we provide to citizens, to people, to policy officers, to SMEs, to digital innovation hubs, to all actors of GovTech, a comprehensive catalog of AI and blockchain, and to come other emerging technologies, solutions, and use cases. So people, they can get together, they can have questions, they can create dialogues, and further, let's say, build upon these use cases to use, to develop, and to implement AI, blockchain, and other emerging technology solutions in the future. And I would like also to close by mentioning the European Digital Innovation Hubs. And I'm very glad to see in the audience that there are quite a few here today to follow this meeting. So the European Digital Innovation Hubs, it's actually, at least as I translate it, it's a group similar to the GovTech Connect. It's a community that it's actually focusing only on AI and AI implementation and development in public administration. So what they do there, I mean, this community, we bring them together to help innovation hubs find funding opportunities, to help them come together, to find opportunities between them, to form synergies, and to, as mentioned before, as it is the mission of the GovTech Connect. Similarly, the mission of the EDIs on AI in public administration is to seize opportunities, find ways to collaborate, and help them to find the market, to go to the innovative procurement and get innovation in public administration. And this is how I will end up my presentation. In the slides that I hope you will share later, I provide more details per section, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we skip it for now. It was the purpose. It was just to share it later on. Thank you very much. I hope that we will have a very fruitful meeting, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Stefanos, for this overview and this introduction, and thank you for staying with us. And of course, for all the participants, if you have any questions or comments also on what Stefanos just shared with us, of course, feel free to use the chat function as we go through the discussion now. Well, basically, Stefanos, you already anticipated what I was going to share now. I think I have just a couple of slides to remember to everybody what this GovTech Connect project is all about. We already talked about it last time we had this community webinar all together, but you already anticipated something. You already anticipated that some of its key components are the foresight study and the related recommendations that are being developed in the context of this initiative. Another thing that I will be talking about even later on is actually the support to the startups, to the companies across Europe through the boot camps, which is a recurring activity, which is going through this GovTech Connect initiative, focusing a lot also on the citizen engagement aspects. So this is something very crucial that we are embedding in these support activities. The design thinking methodology focusing on citizen engagement is something that is guiding our activities when engaging with startups and SMEs. And finally, of course, training occasions, webinars, and enlarging the online, virtual, and physical community that is also objective and related activity of this GovTech Connect project. But I think in the next slide, we have also a glimpse of what has been happening in this almost first year that this project has been up and running. Well, 2 of these boot camps I was just mentioning have already taken place in this first year, and 25 different startups from across Europe have already been engaged and supported, involving a wide range of experts, over 50 of them, while progressively and continuously growing the community on JoinUp, as we will see, and also after in a while. That is where you can actually find the virtual community of GovTech Connect and GovTech4all on the JoinUp European Commission platform. So we will be talking about it even later. Invitation is to join the community if you still haven't done so, but I wouldn't lose many more minutes about the GovTech Connect project because, as mentioned, something we have already been talking about. I am happy to leave it over now to Beziana Bala from the Lisbon Council, who will go a little bit more in depth today in the GovTech4all project, tightly connected and interlinked to the GovTech Connect initiative, falling in that puzzle, in that menu of ingredients, as Stefanos was presenting it before, of the initiatives the European Commission is currently running in the GovTech ecosystem across Europe and even beyond. So, Beziana, please, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your introduction. Thank you, Stefanos, for setting the scene. Thank you, David, for a lot of the enthusiasm related to the GovTech field. It's always nice to be pumped up and present. So, hello everyone, my name is Beziana Bala. I'm Associate Director at the Lisbon Council. I have the privilege, quite honestly, but also a strategic privilege of being part of the Lisbon Council, while the Lisbon Council is also part of both projects, both the GovTech Connect project and the GovTech4all project. As a think tank, we have also led the foresight study from which Stefano was extrapolating some of the data, and right now we are the coordinating partner of the GovTech4all. This to say that I'm very familiar with obviously both projects, but that also is so important to explain both the dependencies, the complementarities of the both projects, and also how they differ from one another. On that sense, Marta, please. Okay. So what is GovTech4all? GovTech4all, also referred sometimes as the GovTech Incubator, started as a grant agreement under the title of the Incubator for Knowledge Sharing and Collaborative Delivery for all GovTech initiatives in the EU. first, the aim of the whole project by the Commission, as Stefano said, was for member state and partner countries to find common solution for digitizing public services through startup access and cross-border reuse. Obviously, there is a foundational and fundamental needs for interoperability by design, ensuring digital solution can communicate across borders and be reused by the public administration. A GovTech Connect project does that by having two main activities among all of the work packages. The first one is activities related to pilots. So we are establishing 3 different pilots throughout the first phase of the program. And the second activities aim to kind of amplify everything that is happening at the pilot level. So in one of the aim is obviously to have successful pilots, while the other aim is to have horizontal activities and complementarity activities that can create a footprint of what made for a successful pilot throughout moving beyond the project itself. So for every single successful initiative that we aim for all of them to be successful, obviously, but for every instance of the pilot, we have a handbook that we're going to publish, which shows the very rigorous process that we go about basically adding innovation through the process and innovation through the pilot. GovTech Connect brings together 21 digital agencies from 14 European countries. And the way that it diverges from the conventional incubator model, it's obviously the fact that it's a grant by the European Commission, but also because what makes it one of a kind, it's the way that we are going to work with startups, because it is one of the few incubators in the world, especially ones, public ones, that engages with startups through a solution to a problem rather than through sectors, rather than through different ways of recruiting startups. So the way that we are going to engage with a startup in the future is by asking them to procure a solution for one particular problem. Thank you. Next slide. Going into more of the detail of what the objectives and the activities of the incubator are. So the first objective, as said by Stefano, is to promote interoperability by design, making sure that digital solution can be deployed across borders. This is also basically the aim of one of the pilot, which is pilot 1. But it also shows that without the foundation of interoperability, none of this would have been possible, because we would have stuck first by the technological barrier, that is the impossibility of moving forward and reusing some of the solution. The second one is foster the use of solution by other public administrations. So as I mentioned, the Lisbon Council itself and all of this initiatives by the Commission have allowed us to have basically good diagnostic level of the GovTech ecosystem in Europe. And what we have noticed is that there is a reluctancy that starts from basically a very low stake, sometimes low level, and by low I mean small level of administration, on reusing a solution that are used by other departments. And so that problem, obviously the barrier, has a technological component that we're already overcoming towards through interoperability, but it also a cultural component of not being able to promote or to kind of disseminate these technologies and allow them to scale through the reusability, starting in a small scale through like interdepartmental collaboration and moving also throughout member state. And the third objective of the project is to create a unified GovTech market. What do we mean by that? We mean that this particular process involves ensuring that startups have access to government digitization effort, either by leveraging existing infrastructure or through innovative procurement and innovation in procurement. For the latter, the pilot 3 in our in GovTech4all has a specific aim of trying to promote innovation in procurement. So as I say, how are we going to achieve all those things? Well, the most direct way that we are trying to tackle all of these objectives are through 3 different pilots. So secure information in cross-border data spaces, helping US citizens obtain social benefits with personal regulation assistance, and the Startup Challenge for Innovative in Procurement. As I explained, throughout all of these activities, there's also going to be horizontal complementary activities related to best practices on how to run the pilots. Next slide. So starting with the first pilot. Pilot one's aim is to secure information in cross-border data spaces. What are the objectives of this particular pilot? First, ensure data privacy and security, so addressing challenges for secure and private sharing of sensitive information among public administration, emphasizing compliance with GDPR and fostering a sustainable data economy, streamlining trusted data sharing, so overcoming fragmented and untrustworthy data issues with public administration, and enabling secure and sovereign sharing on information to deliver high quality services to citizens. So the objective of this particular pilot is basically to ensure a secure information exchange between countries participating in this pilot. With the specificity of pilot one, I would like to move towards explaining the particularly aspects that are in dealing with cross-border data sharing. So next slide. When working with the complexities that arise from trying to overcome the barriers of individualizing solution for cross-border data sharing, the first stage in which we engage with at the GovTech4all is trying to narrow down the domains and sectors, and trying to find the right use case frameworks throughout this particular process. I would like to emphasize that obviously this is a work in progress, and all of the data that will be involved during pilot one are synthetic data, so there will not be an engagement with actual data at this stage of the project. But I would like to let you in a little bit on the way that we do things in our side of the turf in relation to narrowing down and trying to overcome these barriers that I mentioned. So the first one is trying to understand which domain and sector should be represented into our use case. Throughout this particular project, particular pilot one, we have narrowed it down to 4 use cases that we would like to narrow down even more. So the 4 use cases are related to, the first one is about health, so allowing healthcare professionals to safely and efficiently exchange data about patients throughout cross borders. The second one is in relation to education, so allowing cross-border exchange of data and qualifications that are securely represented. The third one is the cross-border notification of business activity that is both related to taxes, and the last one is secure and reliable exchange of tax information on goods and services. So once we have narrowed down that there are 4 particular use cases that would benefit from solutions that relate to securely exchanging data cross-border, then we are on the first layer of trying to move forward and narrow it down even more. On the first layer, we try to find the feasibility of this particular use cases. So we engage with a different system of voting that will try to understand the following aspects. So the first one is access to the system, so feasibility, access to the system, the effort required to implement changes in this particular exchanges, the technological advance, the impact on the end users, the involvement of both solution and partners, so in the involvement of all actors, and the relevance or importance of this particular pilot. Once we move away and we narrow down, thanks to a voting system, from the feasibility side, we move forward to the key technological points that this particular challenge needs to address. Those key technological points are secure encryption algorithm, work with encrypted data, give the information warrants, also called it OOTS, and shared information data spaces. So we are currently building at least a 2-tier system that would allow us to make the best informed decision in choosing the right use case for this particular pilot. Of course, this needs to be compliant with Common European Data Spaces and both the Data Act and Interoperability Act. I wanted to let you all into the process because we do believe that the process is just as important as the results in this particular project. I would also like to emphasize the fact that obviously, these are big problems, and moving the needle a little takes a lot of effort. And so the timeline from the start of the project until so far really reflects the sense of responsibility for which we are dealing with this particular problems. So we are creating a blueprint. We are all having a very very heavy sense of like what is the best way in which we can move forward without causing much problem into the already established legacy systems. I think that it's very important because one of the aspects that we discuss both in GovTech Connect and GovTech4all is obviously the technological dependencies, but also the cultural component of trying to change or trying to innovate into the public sector, and letting you into part of like how the process works and what are the things that make it different, and the degree of thinking and deliberation that goes into even the smallest of solution of decisions will allow for people to take the handbook that we're going to deliver in the end very seriously, because it's a system developed with a lot of trial and error. Okay, having said that, let's move to Pilot Second. Also, all of the wonderful people that make Pilot 1 happen, which are BizNet and Dinum and GRNet, Biscaya, sorry, GRNet and Dinum are present. So in the Q&A, if you have particular question related to technical aspects, please ask away. Okay, Pilot Second. So helping you, citizen, obtain social benefits with personal regulation assistant. You're going to forgive me a little bit of background information on what that particular thing means. So when we were working on the second pilot and introduced the second pilot, our case study was the one in the Netherlands, which is currently looking into the development of a personal advisor for citizens, also called personal regulation assistant, PRA, because citizens too often do not apply for services like benefits, even though they are eligible. And this obviously has a larger impact in those different classes of the population that are living in poverty. It has been estimated within the Dutch economy that if the government keeps addressing the specific problem, it could already diminish poverty by 24%. So the assistant will be able to help people identify their needs and find and assess and utilize the regulation and the product and services that can help citizens engage with their needs. It is also able to help them because one of the main aspects of the PRIs is compliance by design. So the aim of the second pilot is obviously to simplify the access to social benefits, so collaborate across 3 member states to improve personal regulation assistance, and also enhance user data through insights and implement GDPR compliant tackling measures of improvement. The partners that are making this particular pilot happening are the ICTU, the GRNet, and Dinum. So even also, during this particular pilot, I would like to let you know a little bit of the process of trying to individualize solutions. So 6 months into this particular pilot, here's where we are. We have individualized specific criteria that would allow for this solution to be implemented. So one of the criteria are the following: it's traceability, it's explainability, compliance, as we said, even though obviously the PRA should be compliant by design, the traceability and the identifiability, the affordability of the solution, in the sense that the time and cost necessary to both deploy it and use it by different components of the population, and the the transparency of the solution and easy to integrate with current legacy system. And finally, the maturity of the solution. And this is a part that I would also like to explain a little bit more, because throughout all these 3 projects, we are definitely going to engage with startups, because that is the aim, so 3 pilots, because that is the aim of the incubator. But the solutions that we're trying to implement, particular to these 3 big problems and complicated problems, should be at a stage when they are already well established, documented, and supported with tool of education. So we're looking for a solution with a level of maturity and a level of presence in the market that is reliable. That is not to discourage every other startup that is currently on the pre-seed stage or doesn't have yet an MVP or doesn't have a minimum viable product or a pilot yet, because these are the first 3 pilots that we are launching throughout this project. So there's going to be other things that we can engage throughout the line. But in order to express a call for action for the targeted startups, definitely we're looking for mature startups that have established a solution in the market. Right now, in terms of the progress that we're doing, that we're currently assessing on Pilot 2, it's a training on OpenFisca that would allow us to move forward with understanding the feasibility. Thank you, Marta. Pilot 3, Startup Challenge and Innovation in Procurement. So Pilot 3 is the one that is definitely mostly aligned with the GovTech Connect project because it's both aligned in the scope, but also in the methods that we're trying to deepen our understanding of, such as the design context. So a little bit of a background information on Pilot 3. And I'm going to also add a little bit more of the foresight research that we have done on GovTech Connect in order to give a little bit more of a sense of the diagnostic of the GovTech ecosystem. So the public sector does not integrate innovation solution from startup and digital SMEs. This is unfortunately what we're trying to overcome with all of these initiatives from the European Commission. But that is also the rule of the land. We are very aware that there is a problem in procuring solutions, innovative solutions from startup and SMEs. The barriers, we have narrowed that down into 3 main barriers. The first one is public procurement. And obviously, because public procurement as a system itself it has not been yet reactive to all these innovative solutions that are around. Second, public procurement doesn't also have a way of accounting for startups in any accounting system, because this is a problem of lower thresholds. Sometimes when you procure solution, most of the times when you procure solution under 150K, you don't account them into public data. As such, it's very hard for us to capture the actual presence of these SMEs beyond actually capturing like the barriers to entry through public procurement. The second barrier is that the public sector lacks knowledge about entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial ecosystems, and that is the truth. That is being also addressed into a different kind of project by the Commission, but it's also being addressed through by member states, particularly throughout introducing skills and direct engagement with civil servants. And the third barrier is that startups don't know how to sell to the public sector, which is absolutely true that they don't know how to sell to the public sector. But furthermore, there's another degree of layer on this barrier, which is that even if they knew how to sell to the public sector, the timelines of payments to the public sector do not necessarily represent the estimate livelihood of a startup itself, because the calendar of payments for this particular solution does not allow for startups to overcome what is called the valley of death. So the GovTech Startup Challenge is an open innovation process aimed at connecting European cities with tech startups to solve energy efficiency challenges faced by local government. And this is another part of data that we have discovered through our research, that innovation happens much more at the local level than at the central level. And it's far more grassroots and actually reliable at the local level. So what are we trying to do with this challenge? First, we're trying to bring the startup market closer to local governments and facilitate this particular exchange and study this particular exchange. Municipalities will identify, test, and scale energy efficient solutions. Then we're going to implement a GovTech open innovation process in the EU. And finally, we're going to implement for the first time at the EU level a design contest procurement option. So the particular stages that we're going to go through for the Startup Challenge are first the GovTech Challenge definition, where we're going to work with local governments to identify a problem faced in relation to energy efficiency. Then the diffusion and scouting. So startups, as we said, do not approach public administration. As such, we need to reach out to entrepreneurial ecosystem to communicate the fact that we're looking for the solution. And this is where webinars like this come to are very handy because we would really like to engage with the startup community and letting them know of the different ways that they can engage with us. Then we're going to throughout the procurement process where local governments will implement a design context to select a startup and then apply and implement a pilot of a price size of 50K. Finally, the pilot is going to last for at least 6 months, where at the end of the 6 months, we're going to understand the benefits of this particular pilot, and the local government is going to decide whether they're going to implement a full contract for it, which can last up to 2 years. And then the other activities related to the GovTech4all are related to obviously boot camps and also dissemination of both the results throughout the events, but also of further engagement with startups based on the base cases. So thank you so much to all of the partners, GovTech4all, GRNet, Innovasia Agritura, Madrid, and BetAI. Right now, the timeline that we're currently facing with this particular pilot 3, is that at the end of this month, or more realistically, probably at the beginning of the next one, we're going to have a challenge definition. Thank you. Next slide. So, really sorry if I'm rushing through, but I'm trying to make my 20 minutes mark. We're lesson learned midway through. Midway through, it's not actually representative because we're just 6 months in. As such, we have, as I explained, faced a number of challenges, which you can all probably common sensely imagine which are. So the first one is the coordination among countries. It's the fact that there are multiple legislation throughout the whole project. As we said, there are 14 member states represented so far, and the cultural and political barrier of reusability. The way that we are addressing these particular problems is first by setting up a very robust system of finding the appropriate use case that can allow for better coordination, regardless of the fact that different actors and different players have different aims at the end of the day when it comes to assessing something that is pretty universal, such as like exchange of healthcare data. A lot of people will meet you halfway through if you find the appropriate use case for that particular problem. We are engaging with legal advisors throughout the piloting and challenge definition process in order to mitigate the multiple legislation. And the last part, the consultation with civil servant and government agencies regarding the benefit of the proposed solution. This is the measure that we are trying to activate as much as possible throughout both projects in order to address the cultural issues related to the reusability and scalability of solution. Finally, next slide, Martin. The final and brush strokes, like broad strokes, timeline and engagement of the pilot and horizontal activities. We are going to end our pilot exploration, so all the preparatory activities by use cases, challenge definition deadline by the April 2024. And then the pilot scenario solution identification is going to end in July 2024, the execution of pilots in November 2024, and monitor and demonstration of pilot execution by July 2025. This is to say that even if you're not a startup, but you're a governmental agency or you're a member state that would be interested in joining our scheme, we are still open to enlarging the consortium on a case-by-case basis. If any of these pilots that I have explained so far actually appeal right now to both your member state or it's not only member states, by the way, also candidate people who are part of the Interoperability Europe and the Digital Agenda of 2030. So if you would like to be part in any way of the GovTech4all, please join up, pardon the pun, and also contact us through LinkedIn, through our particular page, GovTech4all on LinkedIn, and please engage with all of the dissemination activities that we're going to get through in due time. Thank you for your time. Sorry, I spoke too much.
Thank you, Bess. No worry at all, and thanks for this overview about these first months of activities of the GovTech4all project. It's useful to hear about it, and as much as possible, useful also to build up on the synergies among the GovTech Connect project, which was pre-existing for some months, so that these initiatives can walk together, be perfectly aligned, and then at a certain point, end of next year, it will be GovTech4all alone walking in the future years. So thanks for this overview. And now to my preferred part of this afternoon, quick tour across Europe. That's the plan for the next 45 minutes. And I have the pleasure of welcoming virtually here with us today 4 representatives from 4 different organizations across Europe that will be briefly sharing with us what is basically going on in their context about GovTech, about support to innovation, about making a closer connection between startups innovating and the public sector come through. And here with us this afternoon, we have Tiago Martins from Portugal, advisor on GovTech and innovation for the Portuguese Secretary of State for Justice. We have also Arune Mateleite from Lithuania, manager and co-founder of GovTech Lab Lithuania. We also have Raffaele Spallone, head of unit dealing with digitalization at the Italian Ministry of Enterprises, Made in Italy. And last but not least, of course, Irene van Hoff, innovation advisor at VNG, the Association of Dutch Municipalities, and also in charge of a European Digital Innovation Hub called Dutch Societal Innovation Hub. So thank you very much to all four of you for being with us this afternoon. And if it is fine for you, my idea would be to, one by one, quickly ask you, first of all, what is going on in the context you're coming from? What can you tell us about initiatives supporting innovation? What is going on in the public body you currently are representing? And if it's okay with everybody, perhaps Tiago, I would start with you. And with the Portuguese case, in particular, your work on the justice GovTech strategy, because you're actually coming from the Portuguese Ministry of Justice, and the importance of fostering connections between local and central governments. Tiago, do you want to tell us a little bit about all this?
Of course, I will try my best. But first of all, I'd like to thank you all, thank GovTech Connect and GovTech4all project for inviting us to take part on this such relevant initiative. It's really a pleasure to be among like-minded professionals and people trying to promote and consolidate a European GovTech ecosystem. But I have to warn you, as it was in the case of a previous event that you invite me to speak a bit on public procurement for innovation, I might be today a bit out of my comfort zone to talk about of the topics. I hope I will add some value, but I believe that I will learn more with you as I'm already learning. And on that regard, before I jump in to my remarks, after hearing Beziano's words, I couldn't agree more with her, namely in what it regards to understand of the biggest challenges that we face to promote a higher level of collaboration between public sector and private sector actors. That goes both for national and European levels of government. There are some challenges that perhaps we could only understand because we started to do something. And this is one of my initial remarks. This is a type of area that you must to start to try to experiment, to do a pilot, to understand if this idea actually have the opportunity to be scaled and to kind of create a new kind of public policy in this field. And this is important also in terms of policy making, when you are discussing to create the legal setup or the legal framework to inspire and to empower such kind of collaboration. And on this regard, I think it's important to mention that today is a big important day because the two legislators, the European Parliament and the Council of the European Union, reached an agreement on the European Commission's proposal for the Interoperability Europe Act proposal, kind of to create the legal framework for our national public administrations to communicate with each other and to fully reap the benefits of using digital technologies and the power of data. And this is a foundational element for a truly European GovTech ecosystem, in my opinion, because we need, or why? Because we need harmonization and some kind of coherence of rules and standards to set the scene for the public sector modernization. If you are to develop cross-sector solutions, so it's not just about the integration of our national public information systems, but how startups and innovators can develop their business models that has a thinking globally mindset. So not just think about to do something that will deliver a solution for our domestic market, but if this is an opportunity to be scaled and to be reused and integrate, in this case, with other public sectors, administrations elsewhere. So it's important for this kind of policies that are being developed at the European level are moving forward, and I think it's important for us to celebrate this agreement that was reached today, as Digit shared in their social media. I was very happy to learn more about this. And I think, taking from Beziana's words when she mentions that GovTech solutions are being developed more and more at the local level, I think it's also important to reflect what are the solutions and the means to do so. And in my opinion, that can only be done if there is an alignment and close collaboration with the central the central government and the central public administration bodies. I think this is important because if we go from the top, where the strategies, the political objectives are being developed, that then must be translated to actually public services and policy implementation, it's important to understand that for citizens, our final beneficiary of what we are doing here is that they are the image. So it's the people on the ground, be it at the local government service or a decentralized services from central government. They are the ones that portray the image of our government. So we are evaluated by the quality of how this service was delivered by them in person, but also and more digitally. So the services that you can have them delivered digitally. So at the same time, I believe this is important because these people that are actually on the ground, are the ones with the eyes and ears to understand our target audience needs and expectations. So it's important to have in mind internally when you are developing our services and we are thinking how they are going to be delivered, that we must involve them in the designing of these services. It's not a time anymore, in my opinion, where somewhere in the capital develops a strategy, develops a solution that then the people on the ground across the territory has to use them. And this goes for technologies. No, in my opinion, it's important to have them involved in all this innovation cycle process. Even in the starting part, when you are trying to define the challenge itself, and then you are trying to define the possible pathways to tackle that challenge. Because in the end of the day, they are the ones actually using our technologies, using our solutions that can be developed in collaboration with external partners. So, in my opinion, it's important to raise awareness for the importance of these modern days technologies. So not only to let them know what they are, but why they are important to be used to deliver our services that previously was done maybe on a more analogical mindset, but now with these new technologies that they are using the power of digital data, can actually deliver services that are more efficient. They have a more quality in the type of the services that is provided. So I think it's important to don't forget that it's not just about throw a new technology to these public bodies, regardless the branch of the government, central or local, but it's important to involve them and to provide them with the right knowledge and the right skills. Otherwise, in my opinion, we'll keep having this cemetery of technologies where we invest a lot of money in developing the next big thing in terms of technology, but then in the end, our people, that our civil services don't actually use them. So I think it's important to involve in all this process. And to give you an example of how we are doing this in the justice sector, I'll just highlight one quick and small example. So here in Portugal, we develop a new service for land registry. So whenever you are trying to register your land property, you would face a lot of challenges in the practicalities of the process, because most of our territory was not known. Actually, people were aware when they receive an inheritance from their past relatives, how or the concrete limitations of their land. So we, to tackle on this, and this was after big fires that happened in Portugal in 2017, we understood that we had to have a better understanding, a better knowledge of our territory. So we developed a new solution, a new technology that used geospatial data and technologies to help to map this territory. But we did so in collaboration with the local government, because you understand they are the key stakeholders when trying to reach out to a citizen, because it's them that the citizen will go after when they are trying to deal with this kind of issues. So we not only involve them in the process to understand the specific features of this solution, but how can we do so that would be a user-centric approach, but also to ease the way this public employee, this civil servant, would use this tool to deliver that services. I think this is being is quite promising, and actually because of this, in only 2 years, we mapped more than 60% of our territory, only because we had this new tool available, and this is something that in the justice sector falls under in Portugal, falls under the justice sector area. It's not just about courts. And in our opinion, David, if you allow me to continue, it gives an idea of how we are trying to promote the digital transformation of our public sector, and to tackle on our biggest challenge, in our opinion. So if you are to answer the 21st century citizens, perhaps still using the 20th century technologies in a framework or in an institutional framework that was designed or inspired in the 19th century, how can we actually deliver and execute our projects? And in the time that we have the recovery and resilience plan to deliver, how could we, on top of the many activities that our public administrations already have to maintain business, to run the business as usual, how to put in pile of those burdens a set of new projects. So we have more than 100 projects to implement by 26. So we understood that for that we needed a more agile methodology to implement our initiatives. And that's why we came up with the GovTech, the Justice GovTech strategy. So for us, we understand it as a way to accelerate the modernization of our public bodies, and as a way to plant the seed to foster a culture of innovation, how to bring the government and the innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystems, how to bring our startups, and since Portugal is being seen as a way to a good place, a good country to start a business, why not inspire them to think about how can I solve a public sector need? How can I solve a public sector challenge that can have actually an economic opportunity for them? That's why I said before, it's important to think globally. So how can I serve the Portuguese public sector now, but thinking that this new solution can be sold elsewhere or can be used everywhere, having this global mindset. And for that, we also understood that it's important to bring people together internally, to share best practices, to promote the reuse of our own technologies, to don't duplicate and don't work in silos. And this is quite important for us, that if we want to adopt and uptake the use of emergent technologies, we still have at the same time to deal with legacy systems that we, by law, we cannot just put it aside and don't use them. So you have this type of challenge in the courts. So as the example I mentioned before, we understood that this GovTech strategy ought to tackle in one of the pillars, a component of skilling and reskilling of our workforce. Namely, what it deals with digital skills, but not in abstract. we had to come up with different type of learning experience, training experiences, but adapt or tailor-made for the justice sector. And that's what we have been doing with different universities across the country to train our people to use these technologies, to be more aware of the 21st century technologies needs. And that is helping us to accelerate the use of these emergent technologies to deliver on concrete solutions, on things that we already understood that we should tackle, and we are doing now using these emergent technologies like artificial intelligence. And I just would like to share two of them that for us it's quite important. So in the court side, we have by law to publish court decisions, but these court decisions must be anonymized, so you cannot have them with personal data. This used to be, even if you don't believe so, it used to be manually. So this is a very inefficient process. You have 20 people that their job description is to anonymize this data, to read these court decisions, and have to erase the personal data. Now we have a solution that is helping us to anonymize on a much faster way this aspect, this important service for us to increase transparency and to make coherence of our jurisprudence. And we are doing that in cooperation with innovation ecosystems. We are working with research centers. We involved the people that use these tools, like lawyers, like judges, our legal representatives, that they are the ones that actually will benefit of this type of tools. So we involve them in the process of designing these type of solutions as it goes along for us, because it's important to increase the access to justice, to get people informed of what actually is possible and what is not possible. And if we would like us to like them to use more our digital platform, that we have more than 190 services in the justice sector, that most of them you can start the process of delivering them via this online platform, but perhaps the information was a bit dispersed around that portal. So we were already planning how can you have a virtual assistance on this, and then the ChatGPT came about. So I believe, were one of the early adopters of the underlying technology, the GPT technology, to use this large language model solution to create our own justice ChatGPT. We call it the Smart Guide to Justice, that in a natural conversational way helps the citizen that would like to have this specific service delivered to actually have it delivered in a much more appealing way, in a much more faster way. And just to end my remarks, and also talking about these challenges, or how can we promote the development of new ideas, and how can these new ideas can turn into concrete solutions. We launched through the year a new type of dynamics activities like the justice challenges, but also we are working to deliver hackathons, and we are also working to engage even further with academia, and perhaps to have more PhDs and high-level degrees being done to think about the future of justice, not in terms of policy making, but also what that means for innovation in the justice sector. But zooming in on the justice challenge themselves, we wanted to reach out to a wider audience, because the justice ecosystem is seen as being kind of unchangeable and very niche. So only people that deals on a daily basis with these services, perhaps we couldn't find the best solutions where the innovators really are, where the new ideas are coming from. So if you wanted to have a bigger universe of possible companies like startups applying for our public procurement processes and tenders, we had to do something. So we came up with our Justice Challenge methodology. So it's, in a sense, it's an open call that we promote a given challenge. So we have a specific question per public body. We started in the intellectual property area to help this organization deliver its services much better. And we understood that people are paying attention, startups are paying attention if they are involved in the process, if we, the public bodies, can reach out where they are. I'm not talking about social media, I'm talking about mobilization, to be where they are, to be where they consume, to be where they look out for opportunities. And because of the type of delivery, so the sessions that you organize, the collaborations with incubators and acceleration programs, we were able to have them look at us as they are looking for the banking sector to develop their fintech solutions. They are now proposing ideas to propose concrete solutions for our problems, for our challenges. And we are doing so, or we are triggering this process via this Justice Challenge, because it's an opportunity to bring people together, but also for our people internally to understand a bit better the external world, the external context. It's quite important, but also, again, for the external world to know us better. So this is kind of an excuse to promote this closeness or to promote this greater promote this greater integration, or people get to know each other and to know more about what we are doing. So to understand what a given justice sector public body actually does, who to reach out, which door, whose door to knock, to understand who can answer my question, for example, and you are doing it via this kind of initiative. And so far, the Justice Challenge are being a success. We are now about to launch a second edition with other area, because we believe in the economic opportunity of promoting our services with solutions that were developed with this public-private sector mentality, with the ones that are actually creating the solutions of the future. And we believe more and more on this mentality. And just to finalize, it's to put the words where it's put our action, our money where our words are. And we are doing it. So I believe this is quite interesting. And afterwards, I can share some more examples. And sorry if I took too much time.
Thank you, Thiago. I couldn't stop you because you were really covering it all from the very beginning, from the strategy to the concrete examples, and basically you were answering already to my doubts I had going more vertically into concrete examples, but really you mentioned it all, starting from local involvement, scalability of solutions. So really, thank you very much for the comprehensive picture. I asked you for a glimpse about what's going on in Portugal, and basically you told us all the story. So great to hear what's going on there, and thank you very much again for sharing your experience and being on board. And looking at the clock and conscious of time, I would fly over directly into Lithuania and move on to Arune, if you could kindly, perhaps same way, but this time really a glimpse, if you could tell us a little bit about GovTech Lab Lithuania. What's it all about, and how are you supporting innovation to reach the public sector?
Yeah, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks a lot for inviting me to share Lithuania's experience. And I'll quickly talk about three main things. So why we started the GovTech Lab, what it does, and some project examples. So to begin with, although we see Lithuania as quite advanced digital nation, we acknowledge that the benchmark of what is advanced is moving very quickly. And because of the nature of the public sector structure, as I think we talked about, the bureaucracy, it's often difficult to keep up with this technological innovation and the expectations of citizens, but also not only citizens, also employees working within the government, when they see what the apps that they use to order food at home compared to what they use when they go to work. And so we keep seeing the space of digital innovation in the startup and entrepreneurial world, and the amount of these disruptive technologies, solutions created there, the user centricity, intuitiveness, and responsiveness of them. And we asked ourselves how we can bring that force of innovation to the public sector, and how we can access such skills and ideas, but not fall into this traditional outsourcing of like digital and IT systems. So in response to this, in 2019, we established the GovTech Lab in Lithuania. And the GovTech Lab is a public sector team, part of our innovation agency, that encourages creation and use of digital innovations that solve public sector challenges. So we aim to provide public sector organizations with methodologies, tools, and resources, including financial, so that they can collaborate with innovators and then co-create GovTech solutions. And our clients are Lithuania's government agencies from any area, it can be justice, healthcare, or any other. And we acknowledge that there are other methods to create and attract innovation in the public sector. You can create it internally, you can cooperate with universities or big corporations, but our role specifically is try to facilitate that cooperation with startups and innovative companies. So what do we do specifically? We have 3 core activity pillars. First, we focus on enhancing public sector innovation skills through initiatives like GovTech Innovation Academy that we launched this year. Secondly, we work on strengthening the GovTech ecosystem and building GovTech community, and this includes public, private, and international stakeholders. And in essence, we're making sure that there are people within Lithuania's public sector to initiate and then deliver innovation projects, and that they can actually all connect into one network. And we try to achieve this through events such as GovTech Leaders Conference. We have this public sector innovators breakfast that meet every 2 months to share about their updates, about their projects, and so on. And we also part of GovTech4all, and we launched together with Scotland this GovTech Global Alliance. And also to build an international community, we started consulting more other countries on how they can establish GovTech labs and build on our experience. But finally, our main focus on why we started the GovTech Lab is to practically help public sector to collaborate with startups. And to accomplish this, we created a program called GovTech Challenge Series. It is a structured open innovation program where we take public sector challenge, transform it into a problem and to a challenge to entrepreneurs, and then place the best startups and companies with the public sector challenge owner into around 3-4 month co-creation accelerator. So we acknowledge that current methods of work might be a bit different, but we try to break that, putting them into more startup-like accelerator. And during this time, they aim to develop a prototype or an MVP to assess whether technological innovation can address their problem. And we utilize public procurement method known as design contest as this basis for innovation. So we try to make sure that it's not just consultation with the market or public sector consulting startups how to build the products or just subsidizing private innovation, but we actually are buying innovation. And we have 2 aims here. One is encouraging more experimentation by making it a bit less risky, a bit less uncertain. And as a result, we also aim to avoid situations in which public sector invests millions in systems that are not really used or obsolete before they even deployed. And that's why we prioritize MVPs and prototypes to ensure that. So since 2019, we had 6 iterations and of this GovTech Challenge series, and we have had 96 different public sector challenges that went through this program. We actually analyzed them recently, and around 61% of challenges were dedicated to improving internal operations, 60% were about better public services, and 9% were focused on data-driven policymaking. And some of the examples of these are, for instance, we worked on how to automate detection of illegal content and children abusive content online. We're working now, for instance, on how to recognize damage to historical buildings and carry out maintenance using digital innovation, how we can automatically anonymize medical images that then could be used for research or for health tech startups to build the AI algorithms, or even how to automate reporting for banks and fintechs to the regulator. So very broad spectrum for more social to more just economical challenges. And this year specifically, we also introduced a new track to the GovTech Challenge series. And initially, our program concentrated only on creating new solutions, but there are many already excellent solutions available in the market. So we introduced a testing track and enable public sector organizations to try and evaluate existing already solutions in the market. So for instance, we work with a few municipalities on trying citizen engagement platforms, and there's quite a few already in the market, but trying different ones for their participatory budgets and so on. So this is broadly what we do. We put a lot of emphasis on solving specific GovTech challenges, but we know that we will, as a team, will always have limited resources, and we don't want to become we're a team of 7. We don't want to become a huge public sector organization. We want to and we will be able to only solve limited number of challenges. So that's where we're trying to scale through this, like upskilling, innovation academies, and communities, so that they can use these methodologies that we maybe try with them once, and then they can use it and run it with their in their own organizations. So that's quickly what we do.
Thank you. Well, to be quick, that's a lot of things you shared with us, Rune. So congratulations for what all has been going on in these last 4 years. And I think, yeah, the key words and the key learnings here is, trying to be as tailored as possible, focusing on the right things and putting the right emphasis on those. And so it looks like a very interesting context over there. So thanks for sharing also this experience with us, Rune, and for being with us this afternoon. And if you would allow me, I would jump over to Italy now, and I would be pleased to ask to Raffaele a little bit about what is going on in the Italian Ministry of Enterprises when it comes to supporting innovation, targeting startups, SMEs. Any relevant initiatives, any relevant examples to mention?
Good afternoon to everyone, and thanks for having invited me to such an important, nice, and interesting event. So thanks again, David, and thanks to all for their contribution. Innovation and the Ministry of Enterprise, it's the link. It's easy to do. Obviously, in this context, characterized by great fragility of international balances, and when the twin transition pose new and important challenges to our production system, but in general to our countries, I think that innovation necessarily became the essential elements to respond to these challenges: innovation, research, investment in technological transfer. Public effort in this area, I think, is essential to ensure that to ensure growth, stable, long-lasting, because obviously innovation and research development is able to generating high investment multipliers within the private sector. We are working a lot on some of the most important and high-tech sector, as for example, automotive, aerospace, telecommunication, and these sectors are some of the sectors in which public investments can induce the private sector to create new and innovative ecosystem where they can invest in the job, in human capital, other elements that are essential to respond to the twin transition challenges. In this ecosystem, let's say, centers, or I don't know, the public-private cooperation, it's able to transform the knowledge coming from the basic science, from the research of university. But at the same time, I can say that investment in innovation, research, and technological transfer are also crucial as driving force for transforming the most traditional sectors that are the real true force of Made in Italy. We know that the transversality of enabling technologies, artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, Internet of Things, robotics, allow us to innovate even the most traditional sector as agri-food, tourism, cultural heritage, where Italy, but Europe in general, has a comparative advantage that is given by knowledge consolidated over time, and given by the reputation of high quality. What we are doing as Ministry of Economic Development, Ministry of Enterprise and Made in Italy, we are massively investing in innovation with our National Recovery and Resilience Plan. We are discussing in these days, I have a call at the 5 o'clock with the European Commission to close also the Repower EU, which is the addendum to National Recovery and Resilience Plan of Italy, and to fix some targets of the National Recovery and Resilience Plan. We have almost 18 billion euro on the National Recovery and Resilience Plan. Most of them are for the digital transformation. I am responsible for the Transition 4.0 program and of the new Transition 5.0 program. For the startup, we are financing the National Innovation Fund, which is a fund managed, venture capital fund managed by Cassa Depositi e Prestiti, one of the most important financial institutions, with 600 million euro to create two funds. The funds Digital Transition Fund and Green Transition Fund. The funds invest directly or indirectly to the underwriting of venture capital funds in innovative target companies with high development potential that are active in digital transition supply chains, and means in the fields of artificial intelligence, clouds, healthcare, Industry 4.0, cybersecurity and blockchain, and green transition, obviously in the area related to, for example, renewable energy sources, circular economy, sustainable mobility, energy efficiency. The goal of these two programs is to encourage and stimulate the growth of innovation ecosystem in green and digital transition sector. We are also investing a lot on the technological transfer system. We are trying to foster the Italian system of technological transfer also through the reorganization and rationalization of the existing center. We are boosting the 8 existing competence centers, and we are also financing 42 new centers. Among them, the European Digital Innovation Hubs selected by the European Commission. We are the countries with the highest number of European Digital Innovation Hub and Seal of Excellence. In total, we will finance 37 European Digital Innovation Hub. European Digital Innovation Hub, you also mentioned in your presentation that the European Digital Innovation Hub can transform and improve the business production process delivery of public services. So are a fundamental element to, let's say, increase the innovation, not only and digitalization, not only of enterprises, but also in the public administration. We are also financing new centers, which are the testing and experimentation facilities. We finance 2 nodes, one in agricultural sector and the other in the manufacturing sector. And we also, apart from National Recovery and Resilience Plan, we are also financing the European Digital Infrastructure Consortia, the instrument which is made available to member states by the European Commission under the Digital Decade Policy Program, as the TEF and the European Digital Innovation Hub. And these also are fundamental to speed up and simplify the setup and implementation of multi-country projects to facilitating the achievements of the digital decade general objectives and targets. As I said before, we are discussing now the new plan, Transition 5.0, and the ambition of this new plan is to combine the digital assets and green transformation of production process. We'll ask for 5 billion euro, and I think that we're really close to the end of the negotiation with the European Commission. And then obviously we have other program to foster the strategic use of public procurement. But I think our National Recovery Resilience Plan, as you know, the most important objective is the transformation of our public administration and our productive system. Mission 1 is called digitalization of public administration in general of the country. So we invest more than 50 billion of euro to transform public administration and to invest in the digitalization of SMEs. I don't know. I leave the floor to you again, David. I don't know if you have additional questions.
That was a very comprehensive overview, and there's a lot going on and a lot of resources on the table, and to be now properly streamlined. And it looks like there's a interesting amount of initiatives also coming up in the near future. So thank you for sharing this update in relation to the Italian context, Raffaele, and of course also thank you for being with us this afternoon. And conscious of time, I would now fly over to the Netherlands. And you mentioned two things, Raffaele, that I think make a perfect connection now to Irene, because you mentioned the role of the Italian ministry and now supporting European digital innovation hubs. And here we have a representative of a European digital innovation hub, and you've mentioned the most recent focus on sustainability, on the green, putting also the sustainability, the green aspect in the overall digitalization picture. And I think Irene also from this point of view can share some interesting insights. So I'm happy to give it over to you, Irene, for also a glimpse of what is going on in the Netherlands, also from the perspective of a European digital innovation hub.
Yes, thank you. And I included some slides. Not sure if that will work right now.
Let's see. Yeah.
If I should. Yes. So we can go to the next slide. And our name is the Dutch Societal Innovation Hub. So we focus solely on the public sector in the Netherlands and Europe. This is the agenda. So cautious of time, we will go to the next slide. We have the transition, and it's both the Green Deal and the digital decade. So we know that in the Netherlands, we have 342 municipalities and 12 provinces who are all working on the green transformation and have societal challenges that we need to solve. And of course, in this digital decade, we are using digital tools and monitoring and data to monitor how we are doing in the Green Deal. So we can go to the next slide. What we did when we wrote the proposal is that we created a consortium, and we have a mission, and that's increasing the societal impact of digital innovation in provinces and municipalities in order to contribute to a sustainable and climate neutral Europe. So it's very ambitious. We don't think we can solve it all in 3 years, but at least we're increasing the societal impact. And the way we are doing that is by the mission-driven approach. So this is on the next slide. Maybe you are familiar with this setup. So this is the Mazzucato approach, the mission-driven way of working. And what we said is that we really need to rethink how we work together and how we are organized in the public sector. So this is in Dutch, but it's this is at least focusing on 3 of the Green Deal missions. So the climate neutral cities, climate adaptation, and better soil for better life. And what we see is that if we keep on working in the processes that we're used to, then we will not make it happen. So if you look at the balls in on the bottom, you see a lot of projects that are ongoing, and urban air mobility or biodiversity or circularity. But although they are very important to do and to execute, we really need to think about how to do it better together. And that's why we are using the phrases rethink, reshape, and reconnect, because it will help us with putting our energy where we can make most impact. So on the next slide, you see that we're working together with the consortium. So we have the municipalities and the provinces in the Netherlands, and also 5 public-private ecosystem partners. And the first one is about the systemic change that we want to activate. So that's mainly for the provinces and the municipalities and the parties that are working in that area. The second one is about access to the innovation infrastructure. So DigiCampus, who's also one of the partners in the GovTech Connect and the GovTech4all community, and Brightland Smart Services Campus are helping us with getting better access to the innovation infrastructure that we see we need. So we're organizing sessions about innovative procurement, so webinars, but also deep dive sessions with municipalities and provinces to educate and exchange knowledge in how to do this better. The third objective is about streamlining the cross-ecosystem innovation. So everybody is looking at the same type of challenges, but we are pretty autonomous in the way we are structured. But it doesn't mean that we can't exchange what we're doing. So the knowledge exchange and the dissemination between the people that are the front runners is really helping us in understanding where we can do better. So if you look at the next slide, you see the structure in the Netherlands and also the EDI structure in Europe. I realize that there are now a lot more EDIs due to the RRF funds. So we're exchanging with EDIs that have the same focus. So they want to improve for the public sector and in the Green Deal. But what we also noticed and what we learned from the assessments that the European Commission shared is that we will not be successful if we keep doing it the way we are used to do it. So the next slide is about our roadmap. And, oh no, this is the first one. We can go to slide 10. So that's 2 slides. Yeah, because due to time. So what we said is, okay, we will keep on doing the knowledge exchange for the innovative collaborations, but we need to be more specific in the new needs for a changing world, and we need research for this. So one of the statements that the European Commission gave in August was that the way we organize our governance system is not helping in the way we need to make steps. So what we are trying to do in the session B and in the new needs for a changing world is get more specific in the political discussions or the things that we need to reorganize to activate the systemic change and do it better. So if we have more dialogue and discussion in this part, we can change the narrative and make it all happen. And then the Green Deal and the Digital Decade will come together and we will be able to make more impact. And that's basically what we're trying to do in the Netherlands. I also feel that it's not a standard way. So we are also doing knowledge exchange via webinars or courses and that type of dissemination. But the magic happens in B, the new needs for a changing world, because we all need to learn how we can do it better in the democratic structure that we're working in. So we'll leave it with that.
Thank you very much, Irina. And that's also why we're here this afternoon all together. We're trying to mutually learn and exchange. And thanks also for bringing the European Digital Innovation Hub perspective to the table this afternoon. And I think what you mentioned before, the approach of your hub, rethink, reshape, reconnect, should also be the guiding words when we're talking about the GovTech enhancement journey that we're trying to, go along through also these initiatives that bring us together this afternoon.
Welcome to use it. Yeah.
So we'll probably, borrow your idea. Thank you very much, Irina, and thanks also to Tiago, Arun, and Raffaele for being with us again this afternoon and for sharing their experience. Sorry if we were constrained in a quite tight timeline, but this was just a first taste, a first glimpse that we wanted to share with all of you about what is going on around Europe. So a big thanks to all of those who have contributed and taken active part in this panel this afternoon. I'll try to be extremely brief in this 1-minute final conclusions. I think that if we go directly to the next slide, this message was already given at the very beginning by Stefanos and then repeated by Besiana. Please, if you're still are not part of the game, if you're still not part of the community, join the community on Join Up, the European Commission online platform where you will find a dedicated environment to the GovTech Connect community. And in there, if we go to the next slide, there will also be a new section dedicated to the GovTech4all initiative Biziana was talking to us about just some minutes ago. So just click on the Join Up platform, look for the GovTech Connect community, and join the discussion. Feel free to participate and share your ideas also through that virtual mean. Looking into the foreseen upcoming next steps, if we go quickly to the next slide, what is going on, what is happening next year when it comes to GovTech Connect project, already anticipated at the beginning, boot camps, training, further community building events, that is going to be the core of the activities for next year. If we go to the next slide, in particular, next year we will see 2 new editions of boot camps coming up, one dedicated to smart cities, the other one to health tech. And if we give a look at the next slide, we also have a high-level timeline. So first step will be challenge definition, and then Bootcamp 3 dedicated to smart cities will be tentatively running around April, May next year, while the one dedicated to healthcare will be probably more towards the summer next year. And moving to the next slide, as already anticipated, step number 1, and here probably we're going to be knocking at your doors again for your contributions, your ideas, your insights, will be the challenge definitions process. This will be happening at the beginning of next year, where we're going to try to co-create together the challenges on which these boot camps will be focusing in 2024. As a final remark, just to be sure that everybody's on the same page, here we have a summary slide, a final slide with the 2 initiatives, the 2 projects represented, GovTech Connect on one side, GovTech4all on the other, with the key features, the key elements. As already mentioned at the beginning, still 1 year to go for GovTech Connect. 2024 will be the second year of activities with these boot camps and all the other initiatives I've just mentioned. But as already anticipated, GovTech4all will continue even for longer until 2027. So it will bring on that heritage, as Biziana was saying at the beginning, especially in the context of that pilot 3, that use case, that pilot when in kind of bringing on the support also to the startups, the SMEs, and the boot camps, also in the context of GovTech4all. So more to come, more to follow. And as mentioned already, please join the community and keep on following us online on JoinUp, but also through our social media channels. I would like to thank you once again for attending this afternoon to this online session. Sorry if we ran a little bit longer, but I think it was important to give a possibility to everybody to share their experience and to share their recent updates. Thanks again to all the speakers that have taken the floor and have shared their thoughts and ideas with us. More to come soon. Keep following us. Keep updated via our social and via our JoinUp community. Once again, thank you very much. Have a good remaining part of the day.